Hello and welcome, and just want to say congratulations on getting access to this video course on how to set up your very own digital membership site. I'm really excited because I'm going to teach you the same exact steps that I use to set up every single one of my digital membership site. All right, so this is video number 1, which is the introduction. And again, welcome to your digital membership training. And what I want to do before I get started is kind of give you a quick overview of what's inside this video course. So we have video number 1, which I'm going to talk about the introduction, the mindset that you need to be in, because I really am a big believer in getting into the right mindset, because once you're in the right mindset, then everything tends to fall in place a lot quicker. And then we'll talk about tools, which, to be frank and honest, you're not really going to need a whole lot of tools right off the bat. We'll talk about free tools, we'll talk about paid tools, we'll talk about membership scripts later down the road, but not right now. Video number 2, we're going to talk about your products. You really need to have an idea of what you're selling before you set up your digital membership site. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people buy the membership script and they want to set it up right away, and they don't really know what the plan is. So depending on what your product is, depending on what your price point is in video number 3, for example, that will depend on those items will pretty much show you what you need to do. If you don't know these items and you try to set up your membership script, then everything will sound complex. All right. So video number 4, we're going to show you how to map things out so that you have a step-by-step blueprint or plan, and you know exactly what to do and how to activate your plan. And that way also, when you run into roadblocks, you'll know exactly what's ahead of you, and it'll be easier to actually move forward. A lot of times people don't have a map or a flow chart or a plan, so they just jump right in and don't really know what to do next. We don't want that to be your case. We want you to be able to learn this system, implement it fast, and be successful. Video number 5, we're going to talk about different platforms that you can use. Video number 6, we're going to talk about the required site pages that are essentially going to be the user's experience. Video number 7, we're going to talk about the recommended scripts, the scripts that we have tested out, we have found that worked well for us over the last decade or even half a decade. And so these are time-tested things that we have actually tested out. Video number 8, we're going to talk about setting up part number 1, and setting up part number 2 will be video number 9. All right, so very important. I want to make sure that you are in the right mindset. A lot of times, like I said, a lot of people buy the membership script first because they feel like, okay, if I have the tools and I have the software that somebody is using, I will be able to implement a successful plan. And not so much, you're about halfway there, but you don't really want to start there first. What you want to do is plan first. And you'll kind of get an idea of how to do that once I show you how to do that. So plan first, and then we'll talk about scripts and the tools. All right. So before we discuss, what scripts to use, we really need to figure out what you're doing first, as different scripts cater to different needs. We could talk about Member Pro, which is one script that I personally recommend, and that's something that I've used for the last literally decade and a half. Or we could utilize a script that is less than $50 that, in my opinion, can do a lot more than a lot of the scripts that are a couple $100s out there. So with that in mind, and knowing that you have different routes that you can go towards, depending on different platforms that you use, we'll talk more about those later on. But for now, I just want you to think about, what are you selling? What is your price point? And essentially, what is the value that you're going to give to your customers? If you can think there first, everything else should fall in place. All right. So let's move on to video number 2 and talk about your products. Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 2, and we're going to talk about your product. So obviously you might be thinking, well, isn't this a no-brainer because I already know what I'm selling? Yes and no. The purpose of this video is to really figure out not only what are you selling, but how are you selling it? How are you going to kind of create a user experience? Who is your audience? How do they think? Do they think better a certain way? And all of that, because the way that you portray your products initially, first impression wise, can impact whether you get refunds, how long they stay, the stick rate, and all of that. All right, so let's dive in. So the question is, what are you selling? Obviously, I assume you are selling some sort of digital product. But what exactly is that? And I want you to, if you can, pause this video and just jot that down and write, what are you selling? What kind of medium are you providing? Are you providing videos? Are you providing an ebook? Are you providing a PDF file? What are you providing? All right, so what are you selling most importantly? Next, I want you to think about, who are you selling to? Now, you really have to think about this carefully because a lot of people tend to forget about this. Yes, you might know who you're selling to, but the next question that you should ask yourself is, how do they think? Will they accept the information? So if you're, for example, if you are talking to a specific group that tends to prefer videos, maybe you want to provide your products in the form of videos, or you want to provide more videos and training and so forth. If you're talking to a group that might be more maybe auditory, they might just want workbooks, PDF files, text documents, and auditory, basically MP3 files. So what I'm talking about is learning styles, different learning styles. You have people who are auditory, you have people who are visual, and you have people that are kinesthetic, that are more hands-on. Now, the reason why I say that is because this can actually contribute to your refund rate without really even knowing that. So what I'm showing you here is not just how to set up a digital membership site, but also how do you set up a site that can actually retain the members that you get. Because we work really, really hard to get these clients and get these customers through the door to pay for the product. You want to keep them, right? So that's the question that you should be asking. It's within my audience itself, how do they react to different types of media platforms, to media types? How do they react to different ways that I talk, different ways, that I provide the material? So those are just some things to think about. I don't really want you to get bogged down or stuck. I just want you to think about, as you begin to release the content, would it be better to drip feed the content? For example, if you have a large video course that might be several weeks worth of content, do you really want to provide it to them all at once? Or do you want to drip feed it to them, maybe 10 videos per week, and give them homework? Because if that's the case, you're going to need to set up a membership site that is going to drip feed, versus if you're going to give it to all of them at one time, you don't need a drip feed. You don't need to worry about that feature, right? So these are things that you need to think about, because as you can see, not all membership sites are created equal. No one script can essentially provide and solve the needs of every single different membership site. So that's why, if you think about how are you distributing your content, exactly the step-by-step process of doing so, then as you can see, your membership's blueprint essentially begins to evolve. All right, so I just want you to just think about those things right now. And also, how many products are you including? Are you just including one product? Are you going to have several one-time offers? Do they need to access those if they bought those? Are you going to offer back-end offers, which they can buy later on, so you can increase your lifetime customer value and your lifetime profit for that customer? Just things like that you really need to think about, because otherwise, if you think about it, even right now, if you buy a membership script and you try to set things up and you don't think about these things, then as you can see, your business model might be totally different than somebody else. So just think about those things right now. Doesn't need to be complex at all. I just wanted to cover those 3 points. And now in video number 3, we're going to talk about price points. So what I'm trying to do is keep things simple enough so that you can jot it down. So before you move to video number 3, try to jot things down, answer the questions that I've asked you, and we'll see you in video number 3. All right, so welcome back. This is video number 3, and we are going to talk about price points. Now, I want to keep it as simple as possible so that you have the right information. You can kind of create your blueprint, which we'll do in the next video. And I'm going to use all the things that I talked about in video number 2 and 3. We're going to map it out. You're going to see how you can kind of map it out and customize it to your own needs. And then we will begin to actually implement what we have discussed. Now, obviously, there are different price points, and depending on what you price and what you charge your customer, that can also show you what exactly you need to do. So there are obviously many different membership sites out there with different price points. Some have a one-time fee. And the goal of this is just to get people through the door and then sell them a bunch of back-end products. So that's one thing you could do. You could do upsells, you can do one-time offers, you could do downsells, and do all of that. Typically, these types of membership sites are a lot easier to create, but your lifetime customer value, or in other words, the amount of money you earn from the customer, is actually not as high unless you can really get them to buy all of your back-end offers. So essentially what this goal is to build a massive list. Now, with this said, these types of membership sites are actually a lot easier to create because it's just a one-time fee with the potential of maybe other back-end products. And then you have kind of the monthly or bi-monthly, quarterly, basically a recurring site. Now, another thing you have to think about is, do you want to offer a trial offer? Do you want to offer maybe a setup fee? Or how do you want to go about this? If you do a trial offer, you typically have to do maybe $1 for 7 days, or how many days you want. Typically, I wouldn't do more than 7 days as for recommended advice. But if you do, let's say $1 for 7 days, and then after that, you charge them $27 per month. Now, if you do that, obviously, you're going to have a different blueprint than the person that is just setting up a one-time fee. So just some things to think about. Jot down what kind of price point you want to do. If you want to do a setup fee, maybe you charge a large fee like $100 fee up front, and then every month after that, it's $27 a month. So just jot down what your price point is. Don't think about anything else. Just keep it simple. And then in the next video, I'm going to show you how to kind of really map everything out.